setting like that. So in a social problem, you're looking at the human aspect of it. But I think there was a question, and which we will address a bit later also, is what about the business aspect? I think yesterday also somebody asked this. What about us making money in all this? Or if it's a non-profit organization, we still need some revenue to keep it going, keep the activities going. That money does need to come in. How are we going to manage that? Because if we're going to do this as a service and we're not going to charge anything from our users, where is the money going to come in for our organization? So there are several aspects and several facets of this, and the more diverse a team is in the design thinking setup itself, the more different perspectives come in, and the richer the solution really gets as time progresses. So not only is our user benefiting, but also our organization has to be healthy enough and functioning enough that we actually benefit out of this. One organization which comes to my mind, which is a great example of social enterprise, which uses not only design thinking but they're technologically also brilliant, is a foundation called Akshay Patra Foundation. You may have heard of this. This is a Bangalore, initially it was a Bangalore-based organization. Now, of course, they're in many places. They started out with a very noble intention, saying that we will provide food, okay, to people who need it the most. Okay, that what their social intention was, to provide food, and they ended, and the space that was available was a severe constraint. They could not expand their facility in spite of heavy donors being there and all that. Just that the constraints was the distribution, all that made sense within a certain area, and they couldn't expand in physical space. So they came up with lots of technological solutions actually for this noble cause of a societal problem, which is to provide food, right? So Akshay Patra Foundation has one of the best innovations when it comes to gravity cooking, hygiene in cooking, distribution, removal of distribution bottlenecks, and they won the award not for their societal contribution, not for their innovation in technology, but for their account keeping. Their account keeping was transparent. They actually won several awards on that. To me, that's an overall, looking at it. So it started out as a design thinking problem. How might we provide food to the needy? But then you look at the way they've expanded it. It's amazing. All aspects of a business comes in, although they're a purely not-for-profit organization. This is my trial. I hope that helped in understanding how design thinking can be used in a social setup as well. Thank you for the question. So there is a question in the chat. What is your view of implementing design thinking in software development? Oh, it's ultra critical in software. I have had a funny experience using software in a software company itself. I used to be in a software company. Maybe 8 years ago. So 8 to 9 years ago, I used to work for a software company as an innovation consultant, and they were supremely good at what they were doing for their customers. And I have high regard for this company, Mindtree. Extremely human centered in every aspect of that company. Starting from new joinee orientation to hiring process to keeping somebody in there, and they're extremely human centered. One aspect that I feel that didn't work out, maybe they changed in the 9 years that I have not been in the company, is their own leave management system and their process, management system internally. It is so bad. I had to call up customer service, internal customer service, every time I had to get something changed inside internally. When it came. So the irony is that they were developing such good code for the customers. They were so human centric in every other process, but when it came to certain process like leave management and expense management, that software really is bad. So for me, that was a big example saying human centricity was not used here, whereas it's used in elsewhere. So to answer your question, yes, in software development, in fact, a department called UI UX, user interface, user experience, is actually design thinking in a different name. It's the process and the methodology is almost identical. They start off with empathize, they kind of collect data, ask users to use the software. They make them. I have been to Google's setup of how they do user experience. So they make the users go to a room, they operate the software, I mean interact with the software. The software to a team is in another room. Now of course remotely you can sit and watch the users use it, the software. And then we find out certain things that we had assumed that the user would know, but they are not. So we then note that down as problems. That is the empathize. Then we figure out how to solve that in the analyze. Then they solve it, put it back into test, bring another test audience to see if our solution really worked. So software development, it is vital in fact to have the user. Otherwise your software is going to be like what I experienced inside Mindtree, not Mindtree as a company, but inside as a process that they had. Okay, so I would say definitely it's part and parcel of software development. In fact, agile development, as they call it, is a very, very quick way of doing it. IBM has combined agile software development and design thinking. They come up with agile design thinking, right? So it's at the cycle of a day, they improve the prototype, getting the user feedback. All EAST happens within a day itself. So it's a very high cycle, fast-paced software development. The next question is how to use design thinking for curriculum design. Oh, yes, this is definitely what we are talking about when we started off our conversation yesterday. The Amir School, if you remember, is essentially about keeping employers in mind, which is our customer's customer, user's customer, which is students are going to be picked up by employees for employment. So how might we make our courses so that it's useful for them to go and tell the potential employer that I have this in my resume because there was a course, a module in my course that I used. Okay, so that's the way to think about in when you're trying to use design thinking for curriculum development. Or if like I work with students from Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, a program dedicated to innovation and entrepreneurship. Their main focus is to have a startup. Now, you can't use the same learning that you use for students who are going to be picked up by companies. Now they're in startup. You have to teach them a different set of skills. Now, how might we establish that? The thinking is going to be very different. The skill set that we have to sort of think of is going to be very different. The curriculum hence is going to be completely different for them. So it totally depends on what your customer wants to do. Keeping that in mind actually enriches your own learning. And the things that I've learned from my students is unbelievable. I can conduct a 10-day workshop on what all I've learned from my students in the past 3 to 4 years with working with these two diverse set of audiences. One is people who are job seekers at the end of their job seekers at the end of their MBA or their BTech or MTech or PhD, and people who are starting companies, who are students who are going to have they've already established a startup, they're struggling. Now how might we help them using our own skill set? So it's definitely useful to use design thinking to think on their behalf and see what their problems are, and then propose solutions, and then make sure that their life is better than what it started out with. Of course, in the areas that we have control over with, we can't, of course, change customers or employers, but we can keep in mind what they need, what the pulse is, and then bring it back into our curriculum, into our design itself. um, I hope that helped you, or that at least helped in the question. Another question is how to overcome Sheetal ma'am says agile development and DT have a lot of similarity. Of course, yes, empathize, analyze, solve, and test, but at a rapid pace. I'm not comfortable with that pace. I'll be honest. It's high adrenaline for me. I'm more slower, and so somehow the agile method we had that in Mindtree also. I worked with teams with agile. I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it. So I said, okay, guys, slow down. Guys, slow down. Let me see what's going on. And but of course we did work together. That was another thing that we worked on. How to overcome challenges in catering to rural settings or local customers and global standards of learning. This is a very interesting one. Again, hang on to this. I'm going to write that down. How do we, rural settings and global standards? Okay. So I'll get back to this. I hope the next module can answer this for you, and let's see if that helps you. Okay. Before that, of course, these are little tasks that you need to be doing right now with the multi-Y. It's not all fun and games here. We have some work to do, so we're going to do now. Let's see. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, so you're going to take your scenario from earlier, which is what we worked on, the customer journey map itself. That's going to be what we will take up. We will rewrite the how might we statement based on, rewrite as in copy that how might we statement, not rewrite as in rephrase it. Just copy it down from your customer journey map, whatever your final how might we statement was, just copy it down. uh, Apply the multi-why tool, ask whys repeatedly. Okay, like you saw me do with two cases. One was with my student coming late to class, and the second one was the servicing of automobiles. Again, no solutions in this case. Just hold on, we have one more to cover. After that is when we will come up with the solutions. Okay, now rewrite the answer to the last why as a how might we statement. Okay, so after your how might we analysis is done, the last statement, pick it up. In my case it was, oh, I have too many deadlines. That was the statement from the last why. And so how might we decrease the number of deadlines in a course? So that how might we decrease the deadlines of the course is a how might we statement we'll have at the end. Or how might we decrease the distance between the customer and the workshop location? So that is the how might we. The last wise answer was that, and we reframed it. I will of course share this with you. I hope it is accessible now. Let me just paste it, the link for your reference. Let's see. So this is the task for you. I'll give about 5 minutes. Okay, one question is, how many whys should we ask? Toyota says 5 is a good number, but I don't really care. As many as you can. If you stop, if you don't get an answer beyond 3, is also okay. If you go till 8, like some of my students go up to 8, that's also okay. Do we have to write down only the steps? By steps, I mean, I think you are asking about the answers. Yes, only the answers to the why questions. So, why is, I don't know, what is the question for out of slow? Why do they, why do they feel so lonely when they come to hostel, when they join the hostel? Because they feel homesick. Why do they feel homesick? Because they stayed away from, this is the first time they're staying away from home. Why is it this the first time that they stayed away from home? Because all along they were in school, and this is the first time they have even stepped out of home. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Ask why, and then keep repeating that why for the answer for the next one. Just write that down as simple statements. It shouldn't take a long time for you to do this. Okay, so we'll take about 5 minutes time to do this. So similar to what we did last time, take the scenario from earlier, rewrite your how might we as the bigger statement there, then ask why for that. Why is that situation like that? And then answer it. Ask why again for that answer, and answer it. Then again why. How many other times you can do it is good. Okay, then of course I will tell you what to do next. Let me see if that link works. Wow, internet's pretty slow. It's not loading it. The question is, can I take a different why, such as why the student come to the class unprepared? Of course, it's your problem. You can, if you want to solve that, that is your concern. I mean, the student comes unprepared to class is the major problem that you have. By all means, go ahead. It's your problem. You are concerned about this. You want to solve it. Go right ahead. Okay. So for people who joined in late, this is the exercise. I hope you can access this. Yes, I am able to see this. The last slide has the tasks. Aha, so nice. You've come to a juncture where there are two answers to one why. It is always the case. So go ahead, make your decision. We'll come back to this later. Okay. I'll give another 2 minutes and then we can go to the evaluation. Very few customer turn. I'm not sure I catch what's the comment about. Very few customer turn. Ajit Kumar sir, I'm not able to understand what you mean by that. Okay. I am stuck. Okay. Good. Sorry, this is. I'm not laughing at your situation, but I'm saying it is natural for people to get stuck with whys, and sometimes we involve experts in this because they may know the answer. There is a limit to what all of us may know. So that's why I was laughing, because oftentimes our we have a few levels in which we can go, and the answers are plenty. Sometimes there are more than one. In my case, like I said, the student showing up late to class, waking up late is just one reason. Maybe the queue in the mess is crowded, so it could also be that, and then there is a reasoning for that also. So that's why you're stuck. uh, that you probably you do not know it from the customer's perspective, so it's for us to figure out that. That's the tough part. So analysis is not easy at all. So in fact, I appreciate that you were able to even go up to the level at which you were able to go. The question here is, how might we tackle the problem of students coming to sessions unprepared? Uh, the answer is no. Why do the students come to the class unprepared? Answer is, they do not feel enthusiastic about reading the material provided. Uh, yes, and why don't they feel enthusiastic about reading the material provided? That's the next question to ask. So why is the next question? Good. This is good. This is great in terms of reasoning. After 5 whys, it's okay. Afterwards, it may become easy. Is the comment. I got up to 3A and 3B. Now it's stuck at that level. That's fine. That's completely fine. 3 levels is sometimes what we can get to. You got up to 3A, 3B. That's commendable. That's very nice. Why don't they feel enthusiastic about reading the study material? The material is quite lengthy and less engaging. Why is the material lengthy and engaging? Because less attention provided to compile the material by the faculty. Okay. All right. So this is good line of reasoning there. Very nice, very nicely done. Thank you so much. Okay, so I hope people are done with your. So now let's see. We will do some self-evaluation. So take your reasoning and see what we can score for ourselves. If you have rewritten, that is, copied the how might we statement as something to work on, give yourself 1 mark. Okay, 1 mark for rewriting the how might we statement, just as is, if you have copied it, because we need a direction to go on. This is important. Okay, then 1 mark for if you have a chain of 5 why statements rather than independent whys. So many of my students, they think that we have to ask 5 questions which have why in it, and not necessarily have to have the chain of logic, right? So they just write 5 questions. That's good that we have 5 questions to answer, but they're not related in any way. They're just independent questions. We need to go to the root cause. So why? And that's why we have the chain of logic. So if you're able to connect it, like I think it was who's so there is an example. You can see Arindam Sahas sir has put it up there, so you can check it out. That is one nice example. So you can use that to have a chain of logic like that. So 1 mark if you have a chain of why rather than independent whys. Okay. 1 mark if you were able to even graph the why statements. Okay, so if you, I didn't put that as a requirement, but in case you're able to plot it, and that visualizes, that helps you in visualizing what the relationship is. It's a simple way to do it. It's not a complicated, it is actually a complicated equation to plot, but but when you're drawing it with hand, it's a simple one, right? So if you're able to do that, give yourself 1 mark. If you crossed 5 levels, you give yourself a bonus 1 mark, because I've been saying 5 Ys, and I've shown you only 3 and 2, but you yourself were able to go up to 5 levels. Give yourself 1 mark each. 1 mark for crossing that 5 levels. Okay. 1 mark if you have branched multi-wise. So, Meenu ma'am, you get 1 mark bonus for that. So that's uh, it's not necessary. So the question here is it necessary to have certain number of Ys? I finished it with only or 2 Ys. The more the why, the deeper we go into the problem, understanding of the problem itself. That's what the number of levels signify. It doesn't really mean anything. Just that the deeper we get in, we understand the main focus in analysis stage is to understand the problem better. Okay, and we're using this tool called 5 Ys, and we'll be using one more tool later on. But it is to go into the depth of the problem. Okay, now how do you find out if you're deep enough or not? Is the number of levels. So that's all. I mean, you're not passing or failing anybody based on, oh, you only got 2, that's no good. No, that's not really. Probably we don't have enough information about the number of levels of Y, by that is apparent to us by the number of Ys. That's the main reason. Thanks, Meenu ma'am, for sharing you know your Ys. uh, if you're not listed solutions, go ahead and give yourself 1 mark. Okay, so this is again important, because in analysis we want to have an open mind and look at only the problem right now. We're still not ready for a solution, because if we start solving it, like I said, it's the pacifier solution. We are just stuck at a very, very superficial solution. It may not really solve it in the long term. So which is why we still refrain and keep ourselves out of solutions in this stage. Okay, and if you've now rewritten how might we based on the last Y, give yourself 1 more mark. Okay, so this is all a mess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks in this, and 2 bonus marks. Okay, so the total score is out of 5. If you got 2 bonus, that's 7. Okay, so max of 7, but it's still out of 5. I'm going to look at it. So this is still a self-evaluation. Entirely up to you. You know how you look at it. Okay, you're sharing. So if you're okay, you can go ahead and share your marks with me. Very nicely done. Very nice. Okay, 3, 4. Thank you so much for sharing your marks with us. Thank you, and for being a sport. Thanks a lot. 3, 4. Nice, nice. Okay, so we'll move on from here to conflict of interest. This is another tool I find interesting to use, and this is a logical extension of the multi-Y also. So the last how might we that we have from the tool multi-Y is what we will use as input for conflict of interest. So how it has operated so far is an empathize stage. We had a how might we statement, or actually 2 or 3 statements. We picked 1 or 2 of them and did the multi-Ys. Okay, at the end we have a reframed how might we based on the last Y itself. So that's the input now for conflict of interest. We're going to use that as a basis for building our conflict of interest. Okay, now you have to, I'll give you an example. People who took my course on NPTEL know this already. They've seen this. You have to guess who these 3 people are. Any guesses on who these 3 people are that you see on your screen? Who are these 3 people that you see on your screen? These are Lego musicians. Okay, they are Lego of some 3 people, famous 3 people. Musicians, yes, Lego, that's correct. 3 musketeers, 3 wise men. Okay, Lego toys, yes. Okay. Okay, Lego toys is correct. Lego. Yes, the answer is indeed Three Musketeers, a book written by Alexander Dumas, the French author. Way back in 1700s, he wrote this book, and it's been translated into many languages. It's been made into movies many times over. Even there are Indian movies based on the Three Musketeers story as well. Actually, a fourth one also joins D'Artagnan, who are the three Musketeers. Okay, so the names of these three are Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, the three Musketeers. I am going to be talking about this guy in the left. His name is Porthos, very quirky character. He is a very, very different kind of person. Okay, different kind of persona he has. And what he is he is sensitive about somebody touching him. Okay, somebody physically came and touched him, he would be very angry. Okay, so that's how crazy he was. He was a different kind of person. So imagine if you are his tailor. Okay, if I am his tailor, we are all his tailors. What would the situation be? Okay, so I want to stitch clothes for him, and I have a measuring tape with me, and I go and try to measure him by touching him. He's going to get very angry, right? So that's no good. But I say, oh, I am an experienced tailor. I've been stitching clothes for 25 years. Okay, so I say I'll go stitch. I just look at him and say, he's a 25 here, he's a 30 inches here, he's a 25 inches there. I just do it, write it on my piece of paper, and stitch clothes. Okay, only to find that when he wears it and goes to battle, he's a musketeer, he fights, and his pants come off at the wrong moment. Okay, that's not a good idea. He's going to come after me. Okay, he's going to be very angry with the clothes that I stitch for him. Okay, so either way, I have a problem. Okay, now let's frame this in a visual format. So what I have is a conflict between Porthos, the musketeer, and me, the tailor. Okay, so what I have is a tool called measuring tape. So what here is the tool that we use, measuring tape. Okay, this is the person, Porthos. I use a measuring tape or I don't use a measuring tape. That's all. There are only two sides to it, right? So if I use a measuring tape, okay, so I go ahead and use the measuring tape because I'm a tailor. I want measurements to be perfect. So I go ahead and measure using my measuring tape. So the good part is measurements will be perfect. So no problem at all there. You'll get perfect stitch clothes. His pants won't come off at the wrong moment. Okay, so that's for sure. But here's the but. I have touched him and he doesn't like it. He's going to come after me and off goes my head. Okay, so that's not a good situation, right? So this is something we don't want. Now let's say I decide, okay, man, this guy is crazy. I'm not going to deal with this craziness. I'm not going to use the measuring tape. I'm just going to eyeball my measurements. So good thing is I've not touched him, and that's kept our friend Porthos happy. But what have I done in the process? I have bad fitting clothes, and he comes after me because I have bad fitting clothes, right? Stitch him bad fitting clothes, and off my goes my head. So either way, there's a problem. Now, if you look at it, it's actually a two-way conflict. Like I said, it's between Porthos and me, the tailor. Okay. So if you look at this, this is the requirement from Porthos, the customer's requirement. Okay, and this is from me, the tailor, the other party in the conflict. So there are two parties in a conflict. That's how we analyze a conflict. Is so now coming back to the question that was asked just before we had the break, is how do I address the senior management's perspective? I have the student perspective all figured out, but I can't for the life of me figure out what is the senior management's problem is. Okay, and they have a serious problem with the way I have designed my course. Okay, so now frame this as a problem like this from a senior management's perspective and from the student's perspective and see where the problem is, right? So when you do that, you will find that we are design thinkers. We don't want a compromise solution somewhere in between. I will I will use the measuring tape only on his arm and walk back, and I will have some measurements. Okay, some measurements are all gone. That's a compromise solution. It doesn't keep Porthos happy, it doesn't keep me happy. It's useless. Okay, we are design thinkers. We want to have the cake and eat it too. So the desired result, as always, is both no touching and measurement should be perfect. Okay, so how might we design a garment for Porthos where the measurement should be perfect and there should be no touching involved in the measurement? Okay, so that Porthos is happy and I am happy. The tailor is happy. Okay, now can you come up with some solutions to satisfy Mr. Porthos and me, the tailor? How will you solve this problem of I don't want to touch the uh, give him a trial garment and understand where it's not fitting? Very nice. So this is what our retailers do, right? They come up with different sizes. Thank you for that solution. Great solution. So I will have another dress of Porto and get the measurements from that. That's what my mom used to do. She used to give her good fitting clothes and old clothes for measurement, and then the tailor used to use that for measurement. That's a great idea. Trial garment. Okay, excellent. This is nice. Okay, any invent a tape that measures with light from a distance. Okay, so from a distance you can somehow gauge the distance measurements and then measure it. Ask him to take his own measurements. I'm sure you work for HR or you have HR specialization. Train the person to do that himself. Okay, that's a great idea. Okay, so give him the measuring tape. You do it. Okay, that's also a nice idea. Okay, now I sent one, say, let's say a student team, a design thinking team. You're all part of the design thinking team, and you found out something about the customer that we did not know about. Okay, about Porthos. Design a robo that will make measurements. Sure, that's a nice one. So we found out from our customer insight that he loves food. He absolutely loves food, and particularly wine. Okay, he loves his wine. Now what will be your solution? We found out a customer insight that he loves wine. Porthos loves wine. What would be your solution? Okay, get him drunk and then measure him. Of course, yes. So he's so stoned that he doesn't even know if somebody is measuring him. He doesn't know if it's somebody's touching him or not. And so you can get the measurements done. Absolutely. So one customer insight is he loves this food. The other customer insight we found out from other team came back and said, well, he has multiple relationships. He loves his ladies. He's a ladies' man. He has multiple relationship, and that's what we found out about him. Now what's your idea? How shall we do it now? Everybody's get him drunk, get him drunk. What noble intentions you have? Okay. Yes, let's get him drunk. Okay, so send a lady to take measures. Apparently we were wrong about our assumption. We assumed that he doesn't like anybody touching him. Turns out the customer insight is that he is okay with his mistress is touching him, but it's only us other tailors and other people whom should not touch him. Okay, so the more we know about our customer, the different the solutions are. The first few times you did not come up with such solutions because we do not know enough about the customer. So it's always a safe bet to go back and find out more about the customers and analyze more about that. Thank you so much for the ideas. Very, very nice ideas. Okay, so one of the solutions, actually, you gave much better ideas than the solution suggested in the book. I took this problem from a book called "And Suddenly the Inventor Appeared." Okay, so he used the mirror to measure it. Actually, very poor. So now you can take the how might we from multi-wise exercise at the last one. Identify the conflicting actors that you have. Okay, draw the conflict. This is what model you used is called the ENV, element name value. Okay, write it down. Element, oops, element. Sorry about the double link. Element name. Element. Element name. My handwriting normally is much better than my mouse handwriting. Element name and value. Okay, element name value, ENV model. That's what we did. The block model that you saw. Write the new how might we from the desired result. Okay, so you draw a desired result at the end. Of course, I will have the slides ready. I hope it's ready. And I will drop this in your chat window. Let's see if we have it there. All the slide conflict, you should be able to see the tasks there. Let me also see if it's already available. If not, give me a few minutes and it should be available. In the meantime, you can start working on the assignment, which is to do the subsequent conflict of interest analysis. Identify the actors, who are the conflicting actors in your case. Okay, it's not available yet. Apologies for that. Let me make sure it's available for you. Okay, I don't know if it's available now. It should be in a few minutes. Let me just check. It'll take a few minutes before it updates. Then you can refresh the slides. Oh, you've already finished it. Wow, it's amazing. Thank you for answering that question. Full form of ENV is element name value. Yes, you're right. Element is what needs change. Name is what we want to change in it, and the value is the change that actually takes place. So that's how the definition goes. Element, what needs to be changed. No, where the change needs to be. Where or who needs the change. Name is name of the variable that will be changed, and value is the values of the variable to be changed. Okay, so that is ENV for you. Okay, the slides are available now. You should be able to see. I can see the slides still, slide number 79. If okay, the 72. I guess if you refresh now, it should work. It's working right now. There's some lag in refreshing. It seems to be working now. Just refresh the slides and it should see more. 79, up to 79. And press the, should be able to go down to the last one. And these, the ones that I'm projecting should show up. If you have a slow internet connection, it takes a little bit longer, maybe a couple of minutes or 3 minutes before it loads. Okay, you can see it now. All right. Okay, we'll give it a couple of more minutes. If you have any problems doing the conflict of interest, please do let me know. It's a little tricky to do sometimes. The key is two conflicting actors. You see it from both points of view. So in my multi-wise case, the student and I mean the reasoning we reached out was that it's a conflict between the student and me. Right? He said that I was giving too many deadlines and he was coming late. So it's a conflict between the both of us. So if I don't know if I don't think I cover this here, but if in that case the conflict would be if I want to decrease the number of deadlines. It's a conflict between the number of deadlines I give versus him showing up on time to class, or them. There are many students. Is then if I so the variable in that case is if you go back one step, it is the number of deadlines. So if I decrease the number of deadlines, my syllabus requirement is compromised. If I increase the number of deadlines, then the student is unhappy because they come late. But if I increase the number of deadlines, then the syllabus requirement is satisfied, which is a plus. Sorry, I don't have it as an illustration here, but that's the conflict. If I reduce the number of deadlines, the student comes on time to class, but my system syllabus requirement is not satisfied. So this is how we look at conflict from two sides. Okay. 72 is the next slide. Is saying, I think if you refresh, it works. I just did, and it worked for me. Uh, Let me see. I just seeing if I can. Yeah, I can see it. 70. If you okay, I'll just copy this link and put it in chat. So this link is what I'm referring to. If you copy it, not click it because it only comes till HTML. If you copy it and paste it into your browser, you should be able to see this slide. The entire conflict of interest is shows up. And then you can use the arrow keys or swipe down till slide number 79. Okay, so we can proceed for people who finished it. Let's do the time for self-evaluation. 1 mark for rewriting the how might we statement from the last time, your multi-whys. We have a how might we statement, that's the last one. Give yourself 1 mark. If you've identified two actors who are clearly coming out strongly as two actors who are at conflict, give yourself 1 mark. Okay, so you identified student and teacher, or in senior management and student. So that's a conflict. Then you identified them, give yourself 1 mark. 2 marks for the entire model. It's a big model that you have to get, the ENV model that you have to put together the blocks, the pluses and the minuses, and the desired result. All that is definitely worth 2 marks. If you want to give more, that's also fine with me. It's a tough job to do that. If you have framed your how might we based on the desired result, in how might we uh, keep the number of deadlines to be high while making sure that the student shows up on time to class. How might we, keep the syllabus requirement satisfied while making sure that the student comes to class on time is a desired result. So that is the how might we for me. Okay, so you need to write down how might we based on your this analysis in conflict of interest itself. Okay, then okay, sorry, you can total it down. There's only 5 marks. This is out of 5. um, Go ahead, and if you haven't completed it, don't worry. I'm going to share these slides with you. You can do it at your own pace. You can definitely look at them and go ahead with that. We'll move on to solve. um, Solve is our next phase. Let me see if sorry, yeah. Okay, now we're going to do this exercise in solve to exercise your creativity muscle. Okay, creativity muscle. I mean, your creativity skill is exactly like any other muscle in your body. It needs exercise, constant exercise, and this is one exercise I find very rewarding and useful. You will be doing this exercise just to stretch out your creativity muscle. This is not anything to do with the case that you're working on right now. Write 20 alternative uses for a pen. Okay, you take your pen and write down 20 alternative uses of the pen, and you have 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. The timer is still going. 20 alternate uses for a pen. You have about 4.5 minutes for this task. 20 alternative uses for a pen. You have 2 minutes remaining for the task. 20 alternate uses of a pen. You have 1 minute remaining. Okay, 10 seconds remaining. Okay, pens down. So here's your self-evaluation rubric. Look at the list you have. Give yourself marks accordingly. If you have less than 5 ideas, 1 mark, 2 marks for between 5 and 7, 3 marks for between 8 and 10, 4 for 11 and 15, and 5 marks for greater than 15 ideas. Okay, 3, 4, very nice, amazing. 5, oh, cool. 4, 3, 4, that's amazing. Very nice, very nicely done. Okay, 3, 4, excellent. Okay, 12 ideas, I suppose. Yeah, I got it. That's nice. That's amazing. Okay. Now, thanks so much for sharing your marks, being a sport and participating in this. The reason I do this exercise is, of course, I told you we're exercising our creativity muscle, but also the fact that people who are self-aware of what their thinking patterns are is actually are more creative. So all the when I say creative person, whichever my person whoever comes to your mind, are probably people who are aware of their own thinking patterns, of how they actually go about. This is what is said about creativity itself. Okay, so if you had observed your own way in how you wrote these ideas, you can try it with any other object also. Set yourself a timer. Okay, also you will notice that by about look through your list of ideas, first to six or so, you will find that these are very very ordinary ideas that you would have you would have come across somewhere, you would have seen this somewhere, or you yourself have used it, and then you get stuck somewhere. Okay, then after a while, you start thinking, you jog your memory and say, oh, in college I did this, in school I did this. So do you start looking at I use the exercise in my business model class as well. Yes, I love this exercise myself. I read it in a book. It's not my own, but I love this. But there are learnings to be learned here. Is after a while you start looking at, okay, if it comes from your memory, you start have to jog stuff. After that is the third installment or fourth installment, is when it starts getting very interesting. You start doing things with the pen or whatever object you take, and do things that you normally wouldn't have done. And that's actually your actual creative personality surfacing. And those are the patterns you should observe, you should see, because these are the patterns you use on a routine basis when you come across problems that you can't readily solve. These are the creative, because first few ideas are always I find that people ideas are very very routine ideas, or database ideas as I call it, things that you've read somewhere. But after a while things start getting very interesting. So you should try it again with other objects and with a timer. For some people, even time is a motivation. That's why I kept announcing 2 minutes, 1 minute, and all that, because time is a different motivator to generate a lot of new creative ideas. I've seen that in also. Thank you so much for being a sport with this. Okay, so this is what we call silent brainstorming, in which we sit down and write down ideas. The reason it has to be silent, is the following. I used when I was a research scientist at a corporate lab. Uh, I found one thing, and is that the tallest and the loudest actually usually get their ideas heard. And how do I know this? Usually, in any group that I participate for a brainstorming session, I ended up being the loudest and the tallest, and all my ideas used to get accepted. So I thought I was a very creative person, and I carried on. There was this one guy in the group that always in my lab, he was always very silent. He rarely opened his mouth during this brainstorming session. I assumed he had nothing to say, otherwise he would have said it, or probably he doesn't have any creative ideas. So that's why he was. So 6 months down the line, I read somewhere in literature that you have to write your ideas down, and that actually triggers a lot of new creative ideas. So I suggested this to my team, and I said next time around we should use this in our brainstorming session. Of course it got accepted, because me, my loud mouth, and being my tallest, I got my ideas through. So the next brainstorming session, we did a silent brainstorming session where we wrote down ideas. And this guy whom I thought was not so creative, he came up with one of the best ideas there, and I was like totally swept aside. I said, like, wow, where was this idea? Then I realized I was the one who's blocking his ideas. He was never voiced it. So when you actually ask people to write down ideas rather than voice it out, they first of all, it's like, I don't know how many of you have read Harry Potter, in which you take your ideas out and put it in there like Dumbledore does. So same way, you actually empty out all your ideas and leaves room for new ideas to come. So That's one trick that I've and then you can discuss. Once you've done with your silent brainstorming, you can discuss what the ideas are, and then talk about the advantages, the disadvantages, how, and you can even build on ideas. You can do all sorts of stuff. So this is very important in the solve stage in group dynamics, particularly because design thinking is not an individual activity. It is done in a team. So you will find that there are contrasting personalities. You need to accommodate all of that, and that's why silent brainstorming becomes critical. Okay, so now this I will leave it to you. You can rewrite your latest how might we, if you are still interested. You've done a lot of hard work from the morning, so if you want to do this as homework, I'm okay. Rewrite your latest how might we from the conflict of interest analysis. Write all possible ideas as a list. Check to see if the ideas do solve the conflict. Okay, so do that at your leisure. I'm of course going to share these slides with you, and you can self-evaluate. 1 mark for writing the how might we. Every idea that you've written down, give yourself a mark and a maximum marks of 4. Okay, so we reached the conclusion. I want to leave some time for questions that you may have. That's why I'm hurrying at the end. Apologies for that. Okay, so there are lots of references that I have used to learn design thinking. One of the key ones I think are one and number one and number two. Design creation of artifacts in society by Professor Carl Ulrich in University of Pennsylvania. He even has a course on Coursera, I think, on Coursera, which is where I took the first course. I really enjoyed it. It's a very hands-on way of doing this course. It's an online course, but you still end up doing lots of homework and assignments in this course. And this book is one of the best I have seen in this field. Change by Design by Tim Brown is also a great book. Tim is the co-founder of a company called IDEO, which is one of the leading design thinking firms in the world. In fact, they worked with Infosys, and Vishal Sikka, the ex-CEO of Infosys, implemented design thinking through Tim's company IDEO, and suddenly design thinking has become a household word in India. Um, so this book has a lot of anecdotes about design thinking. You can learn a lot. The book that I use and I love it, unfortunately out of production, is And Suddenly the Inventor Appeared by Altschuler. IDEO.org has lots of courses that you can register and learn a lot about design thinking. They give certificates out for people who successfully complete it. Also, Stanford D School and IDEO work closely together. D School is design school. They have lots of case studies. IDEO.org also has lots of case studies. Somebody asked about social entrepreneurship. IDEO has lots of case studies on IDEO social entrepreneurship as well. Wikipedia, if you are spiritually inclined, that's a good starting place to Four Noble Truths, and then there are lots of books that Wikipedia has links to, and you can read them for getting the spiritual side of design thinking. Okay, I have lots of videos collected over time on each of these stages. I keep adding to this YouTube list. You can also check out these videos. Some of them are funny, some of them are informative, some of them are useful, some of them are all of the above. Okay, solve and test, all of these have each of their own set of videos. You can watch them at your leisure. um, Acknowledgement, these slides are made using these software packages. Org reveal, org mode is something that I use all the time. Emacs is the age old text editor, one of the first open source software. These people are kind enough to share the software, so I feel I'm duty bound to acknowledge the contribution of these packages that I've used so liberally in my slides as well as in making of my book. And images that I've used, people have kindly shared them. And here are one more thing. If you are in a college, you want help in teaching design thinking in your college, I can help you with the syllabus. The link is given here. If you click on syllabus, you will take you to the link with the syllabus. You want to propose this as a course, you want to use my syllabus, go ahead and use this as a docx, so you can edit as the way you want it. You want to change it, you can change the way you want it. Use this as a starting material. The entire course content, my table of contents is there from my book. That's also linked, hyperlinked here. You can use that. And if you want the book itself, it's available on my website. Uh, I released it almost, I guess, 2 months ago now. It has lots of anecdotes, stories, cases, and a story guiding. I wrote it with persona of a 22-year-old student in studying in a college. That's my target persona for this. Lots of my students have given me feedback saying how I can improve it. So the next edition, I shall definitely improve it. There are lots of exercises. It is useful as a companion book to a course, online course that you're taking, or a physical course that you're taking, as well as it can be an independent book itself. If you want to learn design thinking, it's a field book. You can take it to the field. You can write notes on it. You can use that as a jot place. You can take down notes. There are lots of plenty of open spaces you can write stuff in. And also, it needn't be this book which doesn't get touched at all. It's meant for scribbling and writing and crossing and marking and everything. I would like my book to be used that way because I use it that way. Okay. One absolutely last thing, I would like to take a selfie picture with all of us together. Thank you so much for your rapt attention, your energy, enthusiasm, and participating in all the activities that I gave. Thank you so much, the organizers, for inviting me. This is great fun. Someday we should meet face to face. When all this pandemic dies down, we should meet face to face and have a lot more enriching discussions. That's my hope and prayer. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm open for questions. And of course, I would like to take a picture with all of us. Thank you so much. Yes, you can certainly email me if you have a course and you want me to take a look at your syllabus or on design thinking, and you think my inputs may help you. Please, by all means, share it with me. I will share the slides. It should be up and ready. Uh, Sir Meenakshi ma'am, sir, can we take a group picture, quote unquote group picture with all people? If you can turn on your videos, can we do that? I don't know if this platform allows for that. Yeah, people have turned on their cameras. I don't know how to do that. I will have to ask the organizers how to do that.
Sunil, can you please help?
So this is where eventually I'm just sharing on chat where eventually all the slides will be available. It'll be uploaded pretty soon. Let me do the needful. Can we take a picture together? Is that possible?
Just give me a minute, sir. I'll check.
Sure.
Mayuresh,
Yes.
Mayuresh or Sunil, if you're here, can you please take a screenshot?
Yeah, of as many participants if possible.
Okay, ma'am.
Let us know when you're taking it so that we can give our best smile. Okay, so the slides should be available soon. Thank you so much. Yeah, email ID, I can certainly share it here in chat itself. Oops. Uh-huh. Okay, if there are any questions also, I can take them. My email ID is given. The slides are also given for anybody to use. Thank you. Enjoyed every moment. Meenu ma'am says, thank you so much. If any, yes, there were some questions from prior to our break. Self empathy. So, Mickey ma'am, so I have not forgotten the question. Um, yes, self empathy is an interesting one. I think self awareness, many things are coming to prominence in these days. Uh, self compassion also. So sometimes, often, we are very hard on ourselves. We are not able to take mistakes. We are not able to accept our own mistakes. It's very tough for us to accept that. So I go back to in fact, the noble truths that Lord Buddha had proposed were all for self. Uh, I looked at design thinking and said it applies to others, but actually, what he mentioned was for. So first of all, acknowledge that there is indeed suffering. There are tough times, and there are things that will go wrong. There are things that may not happen according to what we think is ideal. So that's where the self awareness starts, the self acceptance itself. In my opinion, I'm no spiritual person, but I'm just making sense of what I know. um, then comes the okay, what is the once you accepted it, we can go on to saying how do we actually and then the AST sort of falls in place. What is the main reason, what's going on, how do we solve that now, can we take some action, some test steps that we can use to get over this problem that we are facing. So kind of like what we try to do for others, we do it for ourselves. So that's my trial in answering the self empathy question. I don't know if you had something else in
Thank you,
mind.
sir. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Because feeling understood, whether by yourself or by another person, I think is what is empathy is all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. I agree. Oftentimes, when we're particularly teachers, they are all out to help students that sometimes we forget that we have a life, we have things to take care of also. So I totally agree with the spirit of the question that sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. So that's also one part of it. So I often give my son the example of in an airplane, they announce saying that first wear on your masks, oxygen mask, before you can help anybody else, right? So first we take care of ourselves, make sure that we are well taken care of, and then we can address and care other people also. So that way everybody is sort of in the same place. That's my trial in answering your question. There was another question on rural settings versus global standards. So, in a rural settings or in a sort of, let's say, semi urban settings, um, how do we still keep it global standard? So my suggestion to you is to note down these observations, these insights on what the setting of these people, students who are in the rural settings are in the empathize, and then work your way to analyze. And the last step, when you're seeing that the global standards are not met, what is the exact conflict to be addressed? So analysis, it's the last stage. The conflict of interest becomes very important for you, because on the one hand, you're talking about rural settings where it's very difficult for you to enforce or to even bring in globalization, global thinking in there. But on the other hand, you would want that, because global thinking and global learning that we have should be brought into a rural setting, because that will enhance their lives way more than what it is right now. So this is a conflict we certainly have. Of course, this is just a surface level treatment. We need to go deeper and find out what is it that we can help them out with, and then frame the conflict of interest. That will really help you in that. I hope that answered your question. Please do let me know if there are any questions, or if it is not answered, or something else that you had in mind. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. There was some kind feedback. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, please. By all means, this is a start to many good things to come. So
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session on Introduction to Design Thinking, Analyze to Unearth Latent Needs. The key takeaways for 3 sessions taken by you are starting with the 4 steps of efficient and systematic process of karmic design thinking to real-life examples and case study given to understand the customer journey mapping. The practical steps given by Sir would definitely help us in finding the right solution from human-centric approach. And finally, we understood the multi-whys of the analyze and solve steps with the numerous examples. Now I request Professor Meenakshi Nandula Madam, overall coordinator of FDP, to thank Dr. Balaram Durai sir.
Thank you, Ishan. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Yes, madam.
Thank you. So, Bala sir, Dr. Bala, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And your sessions were very, very engaging, and they were very interactive. And as a participant, I have enjoyed participating in the sessions myself. So thank you so much on behalf of everyone in Vidyalankar Institute of Technology. I would like to thank you, and I hope, as you said, that we would get a chance soon to meet in person on our campus. So definitely, fingers crossed. I hope that would work out for everyone.
Yes, it will. This too shall pass, definitely.
Yes, but this too shall pass. Very true, very true. So this is an opportunity for us all to make sure that we improve our skills in every possible way with experts and resource persons with us, like you have joined us. So thank you so much on behalf of everyone, and we hope to host you in the future also, sir, in online as well as in physical sessions. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am and Ishan. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you so much. Okay, take care, everyone. Take care. So,
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much, sir. My humble gratitude goes to all our delegates for their participation. We will join again after a long break at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
have a great day. Thanks.